one stop, family shop. Think Thayer, come on, let's get rolling. Come on, let's get moving. Think Thayer.
We've been trying to turn our training room into a health club, and we've doubled the hours for the trainers, and we're not letting them go home, and we're trying to get those guys in there 3 times a day, and we're talking about massages and cold whirlpool, hot whirlpool, and just make sure they get rid of all the aches and pains before we start this November run.
How do you feel about midweek games?
I think it's cool. I think it's cold, but I think it's cool. For us to have the only game on and to know the entire nation's watching you. I've got family back on the West Coast, and they all love the November games. And I mean, whether they're in San Diego, Los Angeles, or whether you're on the East Coast, everybody's watching that game. All the coaches are watching that game. I mean, it's one of those deals where everybody's at work for Saturday, but they have that game on in their office or where they're walking by, what's the score, and everybody gets to see it. So when you talk about the exposure that the conference gets, I don't think you can go wrong with the midweek games.
When you planned out the schedule for this year in terms of like practices and all that, did you change anything to get ready for November from maybe last year?
Yeah, it's very interesting. We have not changed anything yet, but there's some things that we're considering, but I don't want to talk about it right now. But I think that there's definitely some thought about having a change from last November to this November, because I didn't feel like we went through November the right way, so to speak. So the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, trying to get a different result, and we're definitely looking at that strongly. Right now, we have not changed.
So it's obviously something you didn't plan out back in March. I'm guessing that's kind of when you set the.
Well, we don't have to plan that far ahead for practices in November. Some people do, but I think that's a little bit of an overkill. I think it has to do with what's the weather going to be like in November. What has God planned for us this year in 2015? If you're planning that in 2014, then you got some connections that I don't have, and I thought I was kind of connected a little bit with you. So we kind of let it get right up on us before we start to make those decisions.
Coach, when you said you didn't feel like last year you didn't go through November the right way, in what areas are you looking at there?
Wins and losses, performance, being consistently good, not occasionally great, and trying to make sure that we're doing everything we can that we can get consistent performances out of individuals, which helps the football team have consistent performance.
So when the areas that you're looking at in terms of change aren't so much about health issues as more as kind of getting a razor's edge on your team for November?
Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely.
You have the nation's leading receiver in the Argentine, and usually I would presume that when you see somebody that has that kind of statistic, it's probably because he's one of the few options that are available to his team. That isn't even close to being true here. You go 6 deep and 7 deep, whatever, in options in your passing game. What does it say about him to have the numbers he does when he's not necessarily the only guy in the show?
You know, that is like one of the best questions I've heard in the last 3 years. It tells you, first of all, he's extremely unselfish. You know, he hasn't come, he's not knocking on the door, how can I get my balls? That is never a case. It's never the situation with him. And what it tells you is how much work he's done from last year. I really feel that last year he was playing on God-given ability, which mom and dad took care of a long time ago with the man upstairs. I really felt that this year he's really fine-tuned his techniques and his fundamentals, and he's worked with that timing with Matty J, and they just have that click, that thing that's going on, that thing that's going on right now with both of them. But it's from a lot of hard work in the summertime and a lot of hard work in spring practice and two-a-days. And what a compliment for him to be the leading receiver in the country, and he's not targeted that way. And when you watch us play, we don't target him that way, but he's just constantly working to get open, and if he gets open, Matty J rewards him with a ball.
From a standing standpoint, you guys can really put a stranglehold on the East with the win this week. Do you guys look at how important this game is based on that and being able to really cement yourselves up top of the East?
Well, I don't think it's so much this game, because this conference, the Western Conference losses and wins count just as much as the Eastern Conference losses and wins in our conference. So it's not just one game. But obviously, if we could find a way to win that game, it gives us a 2-game lead, and it gives us the tiebreaker on everyone, which is really important because it's going to come down. It's going to be close. You never know. One injury can change an entire football team at this stage of the game. So it'd be really nice to have that tiebreaker over Ohio if we could find a way to score one more point than them.
When you have success in the MAC, people are going to put your name in every single coaching search there is. How do you address that with your team, and how have they handled seeing your name on literally every article that has been put out about coaching openings?
You know, I first of all, I don't know why I'm on every single article. I think I know why, but I'm not going to say it while I'm on video. But I don't even talk to our team about that. I'm not even interested in knowing that stuff. The thing I'm interested in is finding a way to win the Eastern Conference for the 3rd time in a row, which has not been done in a very, very long time. And then, after that, finding a way to get them back to the conference championship game. And then try to find a way so they can win it 2 out of 3 years, which I'm not sure that's been done, but probably Northern Illinois has done it somewhere down the road. To me, that's big. And that's the only thing that we're thinking about. We haven't addressed it, nor do we even talk about stuff like that.
It's inevitable though for college-age kids to see that stuff though, right? To see their coach's name, it's kind of inevitable, right?
Sure, social media and everything that's going on, yeah, I'm sure they see it. But I can tell you right now, not one of my players has asked me about it.
Anything else?
The game plan, I presume, every week is get a big lead and force the other team to be one-dimensional or whatever dimension they go at. That has to be, the last few weeks, that's been pretty important. This week's the same, because Ohio is primarily a running team. Is that what you, if all things being equal and the game plan comes to fruition, is that the idea to get the big lead?
Absolutely.
Force the team to come after you?
Absolutely. You would like for the team to play left-handed. And obviously, I would imagine that they would want a close game, something coming down to the end where run and play action is always in the mix. And what we're trying to do is get them away from run and play action and try to get them to be a drop-back team, which is what happened to them a little bit last week. But just because that's what you plan to do doesn't mean the game is going to lay out that way. We've just been fortunate enough that it seems like that's been the MO recently, and it's been successful for us.